Welcome to Widowed by 30. We're your hosts, Katey and Taylor. We're here to provide raw truth, guidance, and support to those who may be walking a similar path as ours.
For even those who have no idea what it's like to lose a spouse. So stick around, grab a glass of wine, and hang out as we dive into all things widowhood.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here today, and we are going to talk about finding out who your true friends are through grief and loss and trauma and tragedy.
All the above.
all the negative topics. This one we've kind of been going back and forth on wanting to do it because we do want to do it, but then it was also kind of, at least for me, I've found out who those true friends are, and I'm not sure if, and I'm not going to call anyone out and say names, but I don't know if they listen to the podcast. And so if they do and they listen to this episode, I don't know. I'm not one to like stir the pot or pick on people or whatever, but it's also the reality of it.
Yeah.
That
I mean, if the shoe fits.
Exactly. So, if it offends you and you don't like it, well, then
Probably about you.
that's exactly why this episode is happening. Oops. So, sorry,
Same.
not sorry.
Yeah, same. I'm kind of like, this is going to stir up a lot of shit, but
I know. I mean, maybe we'll have to do because that's really starting the pot. But I was going to say, we'll have to do another episode after the fact.
how many
So
people
these are
hit
the
us up?
messages I got after we aired that episode.
Mm-hmm. That'll be funny.
But yeah, it will.
And it's funny because they're literally going to post it in 2 days.
I know.
YOLO.
But yeah, exactly. And it's the reality of it. And it is like an episode that it hurts to even have to like
Have
do
it.
this one.
Yeah.
Because never in a million years did I think it would be like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess to get started on it, I guess like I'll jump into like my specific situation of it, when Josh passed away, you have your people and your friends and your family. And like for us specifically, we had a group of friends that were like our world. Before we moved to Colorado, there was a falling out, and since then we hadn't spoken with them, from, let's say we moved to Colorado in 17, and up until Josh's accident in March, we hadn't spoken to them. It was just one of those things, like we didn't see eye to eye on something, and we stood firm on our beliefs and the issue and things like that. And when Josh passed away, I didn't even reach out to them. I waited for it to be posted on social media for them to find out the news. And when I tell you, those have been the friends that have been there for me more than my best friend has been there for me. It is so hard to like live with the fact that we wasted however many years over something stupid, which, I mean, depends on how you look at it. I don't look at it as a stupid matter because it was a serious matter to me, but to know that they have been there for me every step of the way, they have been supportive. They were at his funeral, and I mean, we live in the middle of nowhere. People had to drive 3+ hours to get to us for this. Like, that speaks volumes of a friendship, no matter what that path was or how bumpy that road got, they have been my people, and they always check up on me. Obviously, like in one of our other episodes, I don't always respond, but it's the thought that counts. And I know that if I needed something, I could call them tomorrow and they would be here. They would do whatever I needed or whatever Maddie needed to be there for me. And then you have someone who was your best friend, and like like it was your person, and where are they?
Yeah.
You know, they reached out once or twice, and like I'm
How was it
tomorrow.
before? How was it before he
I mean,
passed? Like,
it was good, but it was also like we didn't live here.
yeah,
So, you know, there's that distance there, but it was one of those like when we talked for hours
yeah,
and we played catch up, and it was like we hadn't skipped a beat. When we would come to town, we'd get together or make it a point to at least reach out and try and schedule something, because like I get it, we all have lives and
yeah.
shit
We all have
happens and it doesn't
kids
always work
and
out. Right. Um so I mean it was just like it was my best friend. And it goes both ways, because even some of Josh's, I wouldn't say his best friends, because his best friends have been there for me through it all, but some of his close friends that he was there for and he would bend over backwards for and do anything to help them with, they haven't been there for me
and
either.
that's what kind of like I feel like that's worse
Yeah.
than like
Your
your
own.
friend, because it's
Yes.
like, you go to bat for your person, and like you feel that and you're just like, fuck you. Like, how,
Yeah.
what? Like,
I know. And you know, and like with that, for his funeral, one of the friends that we had the falling out with that showed up, her and I ended up getting together one night for dinner when I was in town. And just to like talk about everything and like actually have a conversation about just everything over the last 8, 7, 6 years, however long, and put everything aside and show our love for each other and apologize for things said or done or whatever. And in that conversation, she told me that,
excuse me.
bless you.
Sorry, guys.
In that conversation, she told me that the weekend of Josh's funeral, her best friend was getting married in Colorado. She was in the wedding.
Wow.
And where were they at the weekend of Josh's funeral? They were here with me.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps.
To like when she told me that, I was just like, I couldn't have ever expected someone to do that, especially someone that at that point you were like, we're not friends.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we had a falling out, we haven't spoken, blah, 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 whatever. But for her to, someone getting married, like, that's a big thing, you know,
Yeah,
and
especially
your
when you're
best
in the
friend
wedding.
and
Yeah.
in the wedding.
Yeah.
And, you know, Josh was in their wedding, and her husband was in our wedding. And so, like, there, I don't know. It's so hard to know that there's no excuse. You know, and I hate to say that because you don't know what someone's dealing with or their life or whatever, but this wasn't just like a birthday party. This wasn't just a, oh, hey, we're all getting together, blah, blah, blah. Like, my husband fucking died.
Yep.
And I need my best friend. And where, like, you're not here and you haven't reached out, you haven't checked on me just because you like my shit on social media. And like that means nothing to me.
Yep.
And so it's like you look at the picture overall, and for me, you know, and grief, not only am I grieving the loss of Josh, not only am I grieving who I was before I lost him, but then it's like you're also grieving those friendships that you thought
Yeah, meant
were,
something. They meant
yes,
something. And it just shows that they meant so much more to you than they did to those people.
and that fucking sucks.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like you've already lost like X, Y, and Z, and then it like you kind of fall back on like, well, I can't, like, I don't want to be selfish, or I don't want to think it's
Right.
all about me. But like in all reality, it is about you. Like, you're the one going through this. You're the one
Right.
that is dealing with all of these different emotions, and it's it's like losing another person because
It is.
you like I'm not gonna say that like best friend breakups are worse than like actual breakups, because like for our situation, like nothing could trump that. But like
Yeah.
when we're in high school, and stuff like that, you have boyfriends, you break up, but then you lose an actual friend, and like that's like
That's
so much worse.
it is.
And it's kind of like that. It's like this is a very intense feeling, and like it's only one-sided. Like the other
Right.
person might not even realize the impact that
Yep.
they have put on you, and that's what sucks. It's
Yep.
like you're that self-absorbed that you just like can't comprehend that we have beef right now
Yeah.
because you
Right.
haven't been there for me.
Right. And then it's like you want to tag me in something on social media that's like, sorry, I can't be there for you, but I'm so exhausted. And I'm like, okay, but you can go out to bars and have drinks. You can go
Yeah.
scroll through social media and post on social media. It takes you 5 seconds to send a text message and be like, I love you. I'm thinking about you.
100%. Like, we're not asking
There's
people
no
to be
excuse.
like, "Oh my gosh, text me every single day and call me every single day and make sure that I'm your first priority." Like, fuck everybody. No, that is not what we're
Hmm.
saying. What we're saying is it's not hard to send a simple, "Hey, thinking about you. I love you." That's it.
You're in my prayers. Like just
Yes.
literally a 36-second text message. Like
Yeah, and
just
then in the middle of it,
something.
like, and then like do that for a few days, and then hey, call you up for, just something. Make the effort, because we
Yeah.
don't have the energy. We're fucking exhausted. We don't have the energy to call you guys and say, I'm just really struggling. Like, for one, I'm not me personally. I'm not gonna beg anybody to be in my fucking life. You're either in
Nope.
it or you're not.
Yeah.
And I don't have it in me to beg people. I wouldn't do it before Clayton died. I'm not gonna do it now.
I know.
And like it's just point, like I take my friendship seriously, and if you can fall off after the worst thing that could ever happen to me
Then you're
happens,
not my friend.
no. And honestly, like, you don't exist. You do not exist in my world.
Hmm.
And that's just me personally. I'm a little intense
No.
about it, and I only have a few people that did that to me during all of this. um Sucks that some of it was family, but some of my family, we made up, we talked, I let all my feelings out because I
Yeah.
was not happy, and like, it'd been months. Like, we just made up because they didn't, and they do watch this. And so, sorry, but yeah, like for that specific situation, my feelings were really hurt, but they were family, and it wasn't worth the energy, because I was
Right.
like, if they're going to reach out, they're going to reach out.
Yeah.
I didn't put any effort into that either. So am I to fault? I don't think so. But,
No, you're
I could
not,
probably,
because you're the one going through this, and
I
they are the
can,
ones that are supposed to be supportive
right.
and be there for you through this trying time.
Yeah. And so I try to be like logical about
Yeah.
things and stuff like that. So, like, I didn't really say much. I moved on with that. We made up, talked to them. We're like, okay, we're going to start over. But then, like, I have a set of friends, and then, but not friends anymore, but I had a set of friends. And then I had a family member who was straight up my brother. Like, we lived together, growing up. And he pretty much, like, without saying it, was like, oh, well, fuck you. Like, and it's heartbreaking because he didn't say that, but it's just kind of how I
It's
felt.
how you took it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like he couldn't even come to the funeral. Like, we all live here. Nobody moved out of state. No. Could not even show up to the funeral. And his excuses, like, they were mind-blowing. He's like, "Well, I had
Mhm.
kids." Okay, well, your wife couldn't watch the kids? Because, like, your wife doesn't talk to our family, so
Yeah.
she could, like, and if she won't watch them, then you fucking bring them. And you go in
Exactly.
the room where my kids were, so they weren't like, you just show up.
Yeah.
That's it. And he tried to lie and say that my mom, or he tried to tell my mom that he had to work, and I said that's bullshit, because when he tried to reach out to me on my birthday, he told me, and I screenshotted it, and I was like, he straight up told me that the kids hadn't been around death and that he didn't want to bring them to a funeral. And you know what, like, as part of me as a mother, I'm like, I get it. I
Yeah.
understand not wanting to bring your children in front of a dead body, things like that. I understand that thing. But what I don't understand is the no communication.
Yep.
You could have came, and you could have not even came into the room. You could have went into the church area where their kids can play and stuff like that, and just been there and listened to the service.
Exactly.
It's it's not her. Our entire family was there. So you have no fucking excuse. Like, no, I don't accept it. And my family is very, very um in the know that there is nothing
Yeah.
between him and I. And
Yeah.
like, and I only saw him during, like, Easter and, like, maybe Christmas, so
Yeah.
it's like, you weren't a part of my life anyway, but, like, you fucking knew Clayton. You knew Clayton. We lived together in high school. Like, and people who watch this, like, they're gonna know who this is because they grew up with us. And, like, I don't know if he watches this or whatever, but, like, he really hurt me. And so now I'm to the point, I'm like, I'm sorry, and this might be very harsh, and this is not Jesus-like, and God, I'm trying. I really am trying to work on myself. But, like, I literally think of him and I'm like, you were dead to me. Like, the moment that you couldn't show up for my husband is the moment you died in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And so, like, this has kind of been an ongoing thing, like, now, because he wasn't invited to Dallas's party. Why would you have been invited to Dallas's party? You weren't invited to Rivers.
Yeah.
Like, we have beef. I don't know what the
Yeah.
problem is. But back to, like, the topic is, I don't understand how, like, people can be so self-absorbed that they don't see what's in front of them. Like, they hear from our family and our friends and stuff, like, how hard it is.
Mhm.
And you see us post on social media. You see that our kids are crying for our spouse, like, for their dads.
Yeah.
And
You
even in
see
those
our
moments,
daily
even
struggle.
on social media, and even in those moments, you can't say, "Hey, I love you." Like, I can't even imagine what you're going through, but I'm here for you. That's not
Yeah.
hard. It's really
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And then another set of, like, my other set of friends, that they're the only friends that did this. They were super, super, super involved with us the last year of his life. And they were great friends. Like, I really thought that they were going to be people that I was going to be friends with, like, for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And they were really close with Clayton. And that's why, like, even more, they came to the funeral. They were great. They were at my house, like, every day leading up to it. They were on it. They were there for me. But then it's like, after the funeral, like, crickets. I think I've
Do
talked to them
you
twice
think, like,
in 10 months. Yeah.
do you think, like, that side of it, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Because I do feel like that situation is different than, like, mine, obviously,
I
because,
feel
like,
like
my people didn't have to sit there and watch him suffer. Do
yeah.
you think that it's, like, a trigger for that? I don't know, because they're still not in it.
Okay, so
Like, if
I
it's
will.
hard for them and they're struggling with it, they need to tell you that.
Yes. Yes, and okay, so in this situation, I could understand that because they do have a family member who also has brain cancer.
Okay.
So I And I would be okay with that. You know,
Yeah.
I would like if it was presented to me of like, this is hard.
Look.
Like
Yeah.
like we loved you guys. And I mean, they did take it hard. Like, and I know they did, but it was a thing of like, you know, we told Clayton that we were going to be there for you and the kids and da da da. Like they told me this. They did it. They did something so nice for me that, like, I'm not going to say on here, but like, you know, they just did a lot of things for me.
Yeah.
And I valued our friendship. But whenever he died and that act was done, then I kind of felt like, well, were you only friends with Clayton? You know, and then like
Where was
Clayton
I in this
dies, and then
picture?
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I valued our friendship more than I'm gonna cry. I think I valued our friendship more than like they did. And I can understand like the whole, you know, aspect of it of, you know, they did like Clayton was like calling them in the hospital, you know, and like things like that. Like we were all really close. They even came up and saw us one of the times we were in the hospital. I think not the last time, but the time before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like, you know, just they I don't know, they went MIA and they're living their best life from what I can see on social media, and like good for them. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
I but I just don't need to be a part of the equation if that's, you
Yeah.
know, if you don't care about me, then like I shouldn't care about you. And it's like it's not even just me. Like these are people that have been with my kids and that knew like the situation, you know, like I really valued them. And so it's what goes back to that subject of like I don't give a fuck about me as much, but like when it comes to my kids,
Yeah.
like I'm cutthroat
Yeah.
and I will end you like no other. Like our relationship is done. My kids will
Right.
never want or need for anything
Yeah.
or people in their lives because they have a
Yeah.
lot. But I mean, I can't this episode like it's geared towards them, but I really do have like the best support system.
Oh,
Like
1000%.
it's just like two or three people that kind of shocked us in the
Yeah.
whole process of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you have those acquaintances
Yeah.
that, of course, they're going to go MIA. Of course, they're going to continue living their life. And they're sure it might affect them for a moment and, like, oh, damn, I can't believe this happened to them. Like, blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
whatever. But it's the ones that you would never expect to have that from them. And it's like, I always, always, always think about the day of Josh's service. And I had walked up to his casket one last time before like the service began. And when I turned around to go sit back down and I just looked at everyone who was there and to see a church full of people who traveled from all over this freaking country to be there. And it's like the one person outside of, your family, but the one person you want to see their face, you thought would be there, it's like I will forever have that image embedded in my mind of
Yeah.
like, wow,
It's
like
fucked up.
it is. And it sucks. And, but then it's like I also look at, I always try and find the positive in everything. And I look at the relationships that I have now
Yeah, for
and
sure.
how much more I appreciate those friendships and those people who have not left my side and who have
Yeah.
gone above and beyond for Maddie and I, who constantly check in, who order us dinner or, well, not really order because there's nowhere that delivers out here, but Venmo's money and like, y'all go get dinner or
Yeah.
get yourself a coffee or whatever. I've had complete strangers do that.
Mhm.
And it literally blows my mind that the one person you thought would be there isn't.
Yeah,
And it
that's
fucking
that's
sucks.
tough because I think that like for you, like I mean, for my situation with like the one person who didn't come to the funeral. Well, there were two people that didn't come to the funeral, but and we have some issues there too, but like I just don't have it in me. I'm just like
Yeah.
whatever. Like I'm not going to fight with you, but you
Yeah.
just showed, you know, how much I mean to you, point blank. But like resulting back in him not showing up, it it is very, it sucks for me, but then I don't think it sucks for me as much as it sucks for you with that person. Because
Yeah.
regardless of like, yes, we are family, and family's just like, I'm a ride or die for my family,
Oh yeah.
no matter what. And he just proved that he wasn't. And so I'm like, you know what? And that's Clayton taught me and molded me into a new person of like, you can't change people who don't want to be changed, who don't see their actions, or their actions are wrong. Like you just don't. And so I
Exactly.
really try to like think like that and think logically instead of rash, because I am very rational. I'm not rational. I make rash decisions a lot. And I can't change who that person is. But
Right.
and so like that sucks. But you and that person, like, the bond that you guys had and the relationship that y'all had leading up into it, it's kind of just like a punch in the face. And like I think it's worse for you than it is for me, because I don't give it enough energy at the same
Yeah.
time. Like if it's brought up to me, yeah, I'll fucking say what I have to say. But I'm not going to go on my way and have this conversation.
Right. And that was like my thing. I had my 30th birthday last shit, we're in October now. Oh my God.
Hmm.
A few months ago. And, I went with 8 of my closest friends and my sisters. And I struggled with that trip leading up to it because
Yeah, I know you
the
did.
first person you want to invite is your best friend. But and when this trip started getting planned, I think I was, I don't know, 4 months into having lost Josh. And so I called my sister and I'm like, okay, like I'm really struggling with this. I don't know what to do. Like I don't want to invite her and then like I'm just bitter and pissed off the whole time
Yeah.
and blah 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 blah. And she was like, "Well, you need to reach out to her and just tell her, look, I'm hurt. You upset me. Like the one person I thought that would be there for me isn't there for me,
That
on
whole
and on and
spill.
on,
Yeah.
whatever." Yes. And I was like, okay. And so I played with the idea for like a month. Still hadn't heard anything.
But you did
And
it?
no, I
Oh, no,
didn't.
like she hadn't reached out. Okay.
She hadn't reached out. Yeah. So I played with the idea for a month after talking with my sister. Still hadn't heard anything from her. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if I reach out to her or not. Because honestly, in my opinion, no matter what she says or what her excuse is for having not even checked on me for 4, 5 months, like I'm not going to be able to get over that because
It might,
no
it's like,
excuse
it
is going to
honestly
be
is
good
probably
enough.
going to make it worse. And that's exactly how I feel too about my family member is when he reached out to me with, or after, I think I asked him
Mhm.
actually, I was like, why weren't you there?
Yeah.
And he then gave me the excuses. And it honestly made me see red. Like if he
Yeah.
would have been in front of me, I would have punched him in the face.
Yeah.
That's how angry I was. Cause I was like, that is the, if you really think in your mind that that is a logical excuse, none of your, like, you can take your excuses and shove them straight up your ass, because it makes this so much worse. Like it really does make
It's
me,
yeah.
it makes me hate you even more.
Yep.
So let's just like, I honestly would rather just, I shouldn't have even asked. Yeah. I should not have even asked and just been done with it, because
Yep.
now that's like, I can't get it out of my head, when he's brought up. I'm like, no, like that's his excuse.
Mhm.
No.
I know.
Like,
And like when I was talking to my sister a few weeks after his funeral, she was like, and I'm not going to say which sister because I don't want to call out her husband, but her husband, who love him to death, but like he doesn't know my people like she does, and which is fine, like no big deal.
mhm,
But for him to point out to my sister at the funeral, hey, where is so and so? Like, why aren't they here?
mhm.
For him to point that out, there was at least 50% of the other people that were there wondering the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And he, and then it was a discussion of like, there's no reason why they shouldn't be here. Like, and I think of, okay, if the roles were reversed and this had happened to her, no matter if I lived here or in Colorado, I would have been on, I mean, not the first flight out, but I would have made arrangements to get there ASAP and
like before the funeral. Before the funeral.
Yes, at least a day before. And
Mhm.
like, what can I help with? And it's even hard to say that because I remember what that time was like for me, and people are like, what do you need me to do? What can I help with? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
I don't know. I don't know. My brain, like, I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Just
exactly.
pick something and do it. Like,
Right. But I could just never imagine having done that to her
yeah.
and not being there for her and not checking in on her. And it's like it's a heartbreak and another part of grief and grieving this whole
Not
process.
only grieving your spouse, but then grieving people that meant something to you
Yeah.
that aren't there, because you expect the people that you're closest to always be there for you when tragedy, like tragic things happen and tragedy happens.
Yeah.
And when they're not, it's a slap in the face. And so then
It
it's,
is.
but that's when it happens the most.
Right.
Like,
And
that's
it's hard
really where
because
you
I'm
find
sure
out who your
there's
real friends are.
oh, absolutely. And I'm sure there's probably people who haven't been through this who are probably like, oh my God, she is overreacting. And maybe,
But you know what? I
maybe
hope
I am,
I hope that they
but
never have to go through this. I hope that they never have to,
1000%. I hope I hope nobody ever has to go through what we've gone through,
but it's not
and
even just
never
your
have
spouse. Like, it's your mother, it's your father, it's your
your
sister, it's your
kids.
best friend, your kids, like any loss. Like, it's just, I think that that's where our characters are different than some other people. Is like, I can say, like, I have been selfish a time or two in my life.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
when you can ask any of my core friends, and that's one of the things that they love about me the most, is that I am loyal. I am there. Like, I'm going through the worst time in my life, but you know what? If my friend needs me, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to be there,
Yeah.
because it's not always about me. And that's just who I am as a person. And that's who I want to surround myself with. And if you can't give me that same energy, then there's no room for you.
A freaking men.
Man, I got heated in this episode.
I know. And it's so hard doing these episodes where you're like speaking in code
I know.
because you don't want
Like,
to
I'm not gonna.
specifically call a person out.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, like, you hope they listen to this, and that because I know if she's going to listen to this, she's going to this person knows exactly who I'm talking about. And
I don't know if I only know the people that I made up with watch this, but I don't know if the other two do.
yeah. And I don't know. I can't recall her ever like sharing any of our podcast information or following our
Bitch.
pages or
Just kidding. Just
we're going to
kidding.
hell. We're going to hell. Um sorry, Josh and Clayton. We won't be there with y'all. But anyway, it's I don't know what were we even talking about. I forgot.
I got sidetracked. Sorry.
You're good.
Oh.
But anyway, I think that kind of like pinpoints what we were getting at on this episode. And if you have a friend who is going through what we're going through or has gone through loss and you haven't reached out to them, I hope this gives you like a little push, a little shove to be there for them. And you may not know it or you may not think it, but it affects them more than you could ever imagine.
And just really like sit there and like think about your life and who's in your life. And if you, even if it's not a loss, like, if you just know that somebody struggles with anxiety or struggles with depression, or things like that, just do the gesture, like be there,
Right.
because they might need that more than anything in that moment.
Yep.
You know, they could be like thinking the worst, and you send that text or that call, and their whole mood
Alters.
reverses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm really nervous about this episode, but let's do it.
I know. I wasn't. I mean, I guess I was a little nervous going into it, but now I'm like, "Whew, I said some things, but I mean, whatever, you know.
But you
And
know what? Like, it needs to be said.
it
And
does.
everything
And
that I've said
maybe
on here, I would say to them if they reached out. So
right. And that's what I was just about to say. Maybe I should have reached out to this person, but I don't feel like it's my responsibility
no,
to reach out.
it's not.
So,
It's not.
you know, whatever.
Hair flip.
Hair flip.
My crazy hair.
But
Okay. Think that's it for
well,
today.
yep. We
Hope
love
you guys
y'all,
enjoy.
and
Sorry, there's a lot of cussing. I'm working on it. Sorry, God.
we both are.
Sorry.
I know.
But yes, we love you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy. Send us all the messages. Continue to do what you guys do. We, like I said, or like Katey replies to everything. I got a lot of crap going on, so
Yeah, well,
I'm just trying to survive over here, and she's got it. She got it for us.
trying my best.
Yeah. So, Katey's always available. If it's anything in related to somebody that was like Clayton, I'm always here.
And I do, and I think I've said this before. Anytime those messages come across of that, I know they're directed to Taylor. I text her and I'm like, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's a message. I think you need to respond and chat with this person because I don't have the experience
Right.
in that specific
Department.
yeah." So, but we're always here, and we love and appreciate y'all so much, and we will chat with y'all in the next one.